So when I saw this article that says a vegan diet rich in legumes can help you lose weight, new study finds, I knew I was going to get questions about it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hello, my honeys. I'm Emmie. I'm a nutritionist and the creator of the Slim on Starch program, where you work with me as well as a nutrition coach and a mindset coach to lose weight on a plant-based diet. If you want to do that, click the link in the down bar or go to healthyemmie.org. A 16-week study found that an increased consumption of legumes was associated with decreased weight, fat mass, and visceral adipose tissue. Now, just because a study finds that something is correlated doesn't necessarily mean that there is causation. What do I mean by the difference between correlation versus causation? Well, you could find in another article that there is a positive correlation between Nicolas Cage movies coming out and people drowning in swimming pools. So what can we learn from Nicolas Cage? That correlation does not necessarily mean causation. So we all know that Nicolas Cage isn't out here making people drown in swimming pools. So this has us raise the question that if in this study we find that people eating more beans means that they're losing weight, can we necessarily say that the legumes, meaning beans, peas, and lentils, are what are causing people to lose weight? Well, let's delve a little bit more into what we see in this article, and I will share my thoughts. An increased intake of legumes and a decreased intake of meat, fish, and poultry can help individuals lose weight, according to a new study published in the medical publication of the Journal of Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Whenever I see a study, my first question is, who funded the study? If you see a study that says that milk is good for us, or that eggs are good for us, or that this is good for us and that is good for us, I wouldn't be surprised if we go and see who funded the study to find out that it is somebody related to that particular industry that's being promoted. So if you see an article that says eggs are the next best thing, and then you look at who funded this study, you'll probably find it could be something like the National Egg Promotion Board. Or if you find something that says almond milk is out, dairy is back in, well, I wouldn't be surprised if that's being funded by the dairy industry. So this study is being funded by the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, PCRM. I am a huge fan of PCRM. You know Dr. Neil Barnard, this guy? Yeah, that's him. This is PCRM. That's his. What's different about PCRM funding studies as opposed to something like the dairy industry funding studies or the egg industry funding studies is that there really is not much money to be made in healthy people. If we're feeding people things like dairy and eggs and meat and poultry, things that will make them sick, there's a lot of money to be made in that by A, giving them all of these foods, and B, making them sick so that the medical industry can make money off of the sick people. So with PCRM funding this study, I get the feeling that this really is coming from a honest, good, wanting to help people place, because healthy people that eat fruits and vegetables, there isn't much money to be made off of it, and PCRM is a nonprofit research and advocacy group. So back to the beans. Is that what is going to burn your belly fat? Let's find out. So in a 16-week study, 244 overweight adults were randomly assigned to either make no diet changes or to follow a low-fat vegan diet of vegetables, grains, legumes, and fruit. Sounds an awful lot like my Slim on Starch program. Researchers tracked the participants' diet quality, body weight, fat mass, and insulin sensitivity, and found that the participants on the vegan diet lost an average of 13 pounds and 9.1 pounds of fat mass. The body weight and fat mass did not decrease in the group that made no diet changes. Notably, an increased consumption of legumes was associated with decreased weight, fat mass, and visceral adipose tissue. What is visceral adipose tissue? Well, it is the hormonally active component of total body fat. So what's interesting here is the title of this article says that legumes are the magic piece. You incorporate legumes, you're going to lose body fat. But when we delve a little bit deeper in here, what we find is that it's not just the legumes that are promoting the weight loss, it's actually the entire diet as a whole of starches, vegetables, fruits, and legumes. The reason why I point this out is because I often get asked, Emmie, what is the best food for burning belly fat? We are often looking for quick fixes, right? We want to know what that one thing is. What's the one change I have to make? What's the one food I have to eat? I don't want to change anything else, but give me a pill, a potion, a green juice, a smoothie, powder, tell me to eat beans. Tell me to do one thing to make this change happen. And what we can find through this study and anecdotally through all the clients that I work with is that if you want to burn belly fat, baby, you got a lifestyle change ahead of you. And there isn't one sole food that you can implement in your diet and that will take care of everything. Because let's say you increase your consumption of legumes, beans, peas, and lentils, just as much as the participants in this study are, but you're also still eating all the foods on the standard American diet. So you're still eating meat, cheese, fish, eggs, and you start eating some beans. The beans aren't going to go to your stomach and burn all of the belly fat. How we burn belly fat is being in a calorie deficit and our body eating less calories than our body is burning. And the way to get there is not through counting calories, but instead to eat a diet of starches, vegetables, fruits, and legumes. And by eating this diet that is naturally low in calories, your body will naturally fall into a calorie deficit, and that's how the fat loss will happen. And I mean, the next sentence that we see here is increased intake of fruit and meat alternatives were associated with a decrease in body weight, and increased consumption of whole grains was associated with decreased body weight and fat mass. So as we can see here, the increased consumption of legumes, the increased consumption of vegetables, the increased consumption of whole grains, and the increased consumption of fruit all led to a decrease in body weight. I find it very interesting that the article just pulls out one of these things. And the reason being that humans are always looking for that one thing. I mean, you clicked on this video because you wanted to know, what is that one food that I have to implement that will cause me to burn belly fat? The title is really sexy, but the answer is not as sexy. The answer is you got to make this whole diet and lifestyle change. Your entire diet has to shift. If you are still consuming highly processed, high calorie, highly palatable, animal-based foods, sprinkling some beans in there or drinking some celery juice in the morning, I hate to break it to you, but you know that when you come to my channel, I'm going to deliver you the truth and I'm going to shoot you straight that throwing some beans on top of your diet ain't going to do it, baby. And honestly, I think that it's a disservice for any of us to think that there is one food that we have to implement that's going to do the trick for us, because then we're going to start to get frustrated. We're going to read an article like this, or we're just going to see the title, because Lord knows we see the title and then we don't actually read the article. And we'll say, well, this study said I had to start eating beans, so I started eating beans and I wasn't losing weight. And so then the frustration comes, and it's because there's a misunderstanding here that there is just one food that you can implement in order to burn belly fat. On that note, when it comes to burning belly fat, it's a question that I get very often. How can I burn belly fat? The reality is that we cannot spot reduce, meaning that we can't choose one part of our body and say, fat be gone, but stay on my boobs and my butt. It doesn't work like that. If we're going to decrease body fat, we decrease body fat on the entire body. And so in order to get your body fat down, if you want less belly fat, you're also going to have smaller arms, smaller thighs, smaller breasts, a smaller butt. It's the way that weight loss works. We burn fat everywhere. Back to the article. When it came to animal products, the study noted that a decreased intake of eggs was correlated with decreased weight, and a decrease in high-fat dairy intake was associated with decreased weight and fat mass. This reminds me of another study. This was presented to me from Dr. Greger the first time I saw it. They took two groups of people, and with one of the groups, They had them have a calorie restricted diet that was fully plant-based vegan. So random number, let's say it was 1,600 calories. That's a totally random number, by the way. I'm not saying that that's a fat loss diet. 1,600 calories, vegan. Then they took another group and they said, you guys are going to eat the same amount of calories, 1,600 calories, but you can have animal products. Guess what they found? They found that the plant-based vegan group lost more weight than the group that had the animal products, even though they were eating the same amount of calories. And decreases in the intake of added animal fats as well as added oils were associated with decrease in fat mass. So, let me just pull up this photo that I love from Forks Over Knives that shows the different stomachs here, that shows that these animal products and these oils are just so high in calories that if you fill your stomach up with animal products and oils, you are going to eat way more than if you're filling up your stomach with starches, vegetables, fruits, and legumes. The proof is in the pudding here. Look at these photos. So of course, if we decrease our intake of oils and animal products, we're also going to naturally decrease our intake in calories because the food is just so much lower in calories when we're not eating these foods. Does a vegan diet help you lose weight? Well, that's a loaded question because vegan can mean a lot of things. Vegan could mean Oreos, Pepsi Cola, and the apple pie from McDonald's. Those are all vegan. A vegan diet could also look like something that I eat in my Slim on Starch program and what my clients eat, which could be starches, vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole natural foods that are not highly processed. So be careful with the V word, and I usually tell people to drop that label if they are eating a plant-based diet for weight loss because it can get them into some really sticky and tricky territory where they end up eating foods that are highly processed vegan foods that are beautifully marketed to be very healthy, when in reality, they're actually very high in calorie density, high in fat, high in added salt, they have added sugars. They're really not the best for weight loss. They're actually pretty high calorie, fattening foods, but they have that vegan label on them, so we think that it's healthy, or we think that it's helping reverse our heart disease. Vegan ice cream is not going to help you lose weight. Oreos are not going to help you lose weight. Pepsi Cola is not going to help you lose weight. McDonald's apple pie, it's not going to help you lose weight. But all of those are technically vegan. So don't fall into that vegan trap of just because it has the label, it means that it's healthy. That is not true. Back to what the article says. Similar studies in the past have linked a vegan diet with weight loss. In one study in Denmark, individuals who were overweight and or diagnosed with type 2 diabetes were found to have meaningful weight loss and lowered blood sugar. So yes, type 2 diabetes can be reversed through a plant-based diet. And I know what you're thinking, but what about the carbs? Those potatoes, I can't have those. I can't have fruit. I can't have my blood sugar spike. Well, the issue is not the blood sugar. The issue is not the carbohydrates. The issue is actually the fat in the diet that's preventing insulin from working properly. And when you eat a low-fat vegan diet, insulin can begin to work properly and your blood sugar will not spike. The fat in the diet is what's causing the blood sugar spike. It's not the carbs. So if we get rid of the fat, then insulin can work properly and your blood sugar won't spike. And you'll lose weight and can reverse the type 2 diabetes. In another study, they compared a low-fat vegan diet and a Mediterranean diet. We're always hearing about the Mediterranean diet, right? Mediterranean diet, that's the one with all the olive oil. That's the healthy one. That's the one that we should be eating. Well, what did they find here? They found that participants lost an average of 13 pounds on the vegan diet compared with no change on the Mediterranean diet. Rid of that olive oil. So back to the title here. This article did very well, what I'm happy that it did very well, which is it hooked you in by advertising that one thing that you need to change in order to lose weight. It said, a vegan diet rich in legumes can help you lose weight. So we think legumes are the way to go, baby. Load me up on the legumes. I'm not going to change anything else, but I'm going to pull in some legumes. Belly fat, be gone. But really doesn't work like that. As this article proved, it's the entire diet and lifestyle that we have to take into account here. We can't simply add some beans on top of our meal and say, this is going to burn belly fat. This targets burning belly fat. That's not the way it works. We lose belly fat when we burn fat all over our body because we are in a calorie deficit. How do you get into a calorie deficit? Don't count calories. I don't promote counting calories. Instead, I promote eating a whole food plant-based diet. If you have no idea where to start, I have a free meal plan in the down bar. Eat a whole food plant-based diet to naturally get you into a calorie deficit if you are overweight, and you will burn fat through that manner. Legumes are wonderfully healthy and wonderfully beneficial to weight loss. And the reason why we want them in your diet is because they delay stomach emptying, they're high in protein, and they're high in a certain type of fiber that keeps you full. So delaying stomach emptying means that when you eat something that has some legumes along with it, so if you're eating a salad with starch and you put some beans in as well, you're going to stay fuller for longer. It's going to stick around a little bit longer. So you don't eat something and then 30 minutes later, you're like, oh my God, I am still hungry. I need more food. The beans are going to help keep you full. The second thing is the high protein content will also help keep you full. Yes, we know that protein is a very satisfying macronutrient, but it doesn't mean that you have to go to meat or cheese or protein powder or eggs or dairy or anything like that. You can get a good protein hit from your legumes, which will help keep you full. And then the last thing is that it contains a type of fiber that's going to keep you full. So it's the 3-peat. It has those 3 awesome benefits to keep you full. And staying full on low-calorie dense foods is what gets you into a calorie deficit without going crazy and eating tiny portions, and allows you to lose weight. If you like this video, YouTube thinks that you'll like this video very much as well, so check that one out. Hey, do me a favor. Comment beans and hit the subscribe button. Thanks. I love you, honeys, and I'll see you in my next one.